Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's show. My name is Kim Explains, and today I'm here to talk about something that I have found very important. But I think many people and many who subscribe to the politics of Gen Zs versus government cannot see, or I think they are not seeing. There's this guy called Kasmwel Mcoure and another lady called Tarus. Now, the two individuals have been considered and they have been viewed as heroes, having that they are speaking about the issues that they are speaking, having appeared to very many TV stations and many radio stations for interviews and even social media interviews. The things that they are saying are things that resonate with many people. And I'm not saying that those things do not resonate with me. They resonate with me so much. However, I think the two, if they will not be tamed, if they remain to be the only two faces that are appearing on our televisions and our social media interviews, they might be the deal breakers for the Gen Zs, and they might spoil the expectations of the Gen Zs. I will tell you why. If you look at this conversation ever since the Gen Z protests started, you realize that the government has tried to approach the Gen Zs in a bid to try and see whether they can ease the political atmosphere that has from the tone that has been set by the Gen Zs. However, even after the president tried going to the media, you remember that interview where the president went to the media trying to speak to the Gen Zs and explaining to them why he has made the decisions that he made, especially before he rejected the finance bill, and then the reasons after pressure he rejected the finance bill. I mean, that media interview was not enough. The president found himself not capturing what the Gen Zs wanted, and so he made a deliberate decision to go to X to try and speak to them on X because he thought that he would find them there. However, the words of the president are that the Gen Zs ran away. So this tells you that the president's attempt to speak to the Gen Zs and to meet the Gen Zs have all flopped, and he has not succeeded. The reason, the Gen Zs are leaderless. Okay? And for him to speak to them, he has to have leaders. Okay? The Gen Zs have to have someone who represents them as leaders. Okay? So that if the president, what I'm trying to say is that if the president, if you remember the past demonstrations by the opposition, when the president wants to engage those who are demonstrating, he met the leaders of the demonstrators. You understand? He met Raila Odinga, and that cooled down. It made the demonstrators go back home or take a step back. So now the Gen Zs have no leaders, and he has nobody to approach or to speak to who can speak to the Gen Zs, and the Gen Zs can listen. So as a government, I want you now to remove your shoes from being a Gen Z and being an enthusiast of what the Gen Zs are doing. Take yourself in an elevated place. Look at the Gen Zs and look at the president. What do you think the president as a government can do so that he can cool down the Gen Zs? Because it is evident that the issues that the Gen Zs are speaking about are things that the president cannot confront. I mean, you're saying that you want CSs who are competent. The president needs, even though the president can consider that, it is an optional. It is optional to the president to appoint competent cabinet secretaries. After he brought down the whole cabinet, the president still brought in part of the cabinet that was there originally, or the cabinet that he had fired. Okay, so the Gen Zs cannot be satisfied with this cabinet. Okay, so what does the president have to do in order to not to accommodate but to make sure that he resonates, or to make sure that he cools down the Gen Zs and he is on the same page with them. In my opinion, I think one of the options that the government has is to create a leader for the Gen Zs. Now, by creating a leader is not necessarily him calling someone, okay? It is not necessarily by the government calling someone and then grooming them to become the leaders that the government wants. But that can be done by creating the same image appearing to speak for the Gen Zs. I don't know whether you are getting me. And that creation is not limited to that image or that person that the government wants to create being vocal on social media. It also includes that every time that any national television wants to address issues or to speak about issues to do with Gen Zs, they call the same person or the same faces. Eventually, when these faces will be the only ones speaking about you, Kasmwel, Mcoure, Tarus, and maybe, I don't know whether Boniface Mwangi is still speaking, when only the three faces are the ones that are vocal and everybody else goes silent, everybody else find themselves retreating, then it is assumed that these are the people who are inciting the Gen Zs. Okay? So, having been the voices that are inciting the Gen Zs, it is easier to tell them keep silent, and that is how the Gen Zs will go silent. It is easier to call them, and that is how the Gen Zs will assume that Tarus and the other guy, Kasmwel Mcoure, have delivered, or they have told the president what they want. So when Kasmwel and Mercy will say, let's give government time, the Gen Zs will not have any other option but giving government time. That's why I'm saying, even as Kasmwel and Mercy continue going for those interviews, as they continue speaking, even other Gen Zs and other generations that are demonstrating and calling for good governance, they need to groom other people. The media, we are saying that the movement is leaderless. Why is it that only two faces are being seen? Is it that they don't have telephone numbers for any other person who can speak about the issues that the Gen Zs are speaking about? Okay? I'm saying them being the only people who are being called will eventually create them as the faces that represent the Gen Zs. And eventually, they will be speaking for the Gen Zs. When they will be tired, it will mean the Gen Zs are tired, and it will not mean that the Gen Zs have gotten what they were looking for. It will just mean that you have been corrupted. You have your demonstrations have been undermined, and that will not be by mistake, because I think it is by design that they are being called only the two. Mtu anaweza sema, or somebody can say that I am being mean, or I am being petty, or maybe I want to be called. I don't want to be called because, first of all, I don't subscribe to what they are saying as the Gen Zs, because I don't think the problems that we are facing can be solved by what Mercy and everybody else is saying by removing Ruto or removing Ruto's government. I believe, and I have been vocal on this, the problem that we are having is the system of governance that we are saying. And what I usually say is that even if we bring an angel from heaven to lead Kenya, we will still have the same problem, because this angel will be bound by the same policies and the same loopholes that the president has been using to do what you call unfair, but I call constitutional, though unreasonable. I don't want to go further from these points. I just want to hear what others have to say in the comment section. If you're here for the first time and you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly subscribe. If you are watching this video on another platform like TikTok or Facebook, kindly go to YouTube, look for Kim Explains, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to leave a comment and let me know what you think about these particular videos.